Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Welcome everyone to the meeting tonight. I do not anticipate this will go on very long, but that means we have time if you have something you want to bring up that we can talk about. First thing on the agenda is for me to call the meeting to order and ask for approval of the agenda. Does anyone, you really can't take anything off the agenda? Anyone have anything they feel like needs to be added to the formal agenda? If not, I'll move that the agenda be approved. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Then with regard to the consent agenda, we've got the minutes from the July 7 meeting, the warrants in the amount of $275,555.62, payroll in the amount of $50,418.67. Anyone have any questions about any of those things? If not, could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Motion
and second. Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it unanimously. We're going to, since really there is nothing on the agenda tonight that is on for action, so we're going to skip public comments on the agenda and we'll go directly to the public forum. There you go, Mr. Collett. That's your opportunity to be heard. Nothing? Anyone else? Oh, yeah, Darren, come on up.
Part of the piece that you approved was pay estimate number 3 to both Farga for the Elm Street and Locust Street project. This is not a final pay estimate because we've left open just a little bit of money. You can see we held 1% retainage. We're still holding that. But what we did pay out is the railing over on Locust. So if you haven't had a chance to drive by that yet, I know I've talked to a couple of you and you have, do take a look over there. It came out really nice. So they did a good job on it. They got it fastened down, touched up, painted, and it's all installed and ready to go. So Locust Street is complete. Over on Elm Street, where we installed the tubes down into the creek, we had so much water while they're doing construction down in the creek, we need to get to the bottom side of that to rearrange the riprap below the tubes. And they also have a little bit more riprap to put around the top of the tubes on the top side. That's what that 1% retainage is for. That's why we're holding that. So they come back sometime later this fall when the creek goes down enough to be able to drive down on that landing, that rock landing area that's down there and drive around and fix that. So other than that, that project is wrapped up. So just want to give you that update and really want everybody to go take a look at the railing, see if you like it, because we've got some ideas where to maybe use some more of that. We can talk to you about that here in the future, see if you like that style and the way it came out. So.
Has everyone except Kevin seen it? Yeah. You do live up that direction.
I do, but I'm a street over, but I can go that way. I've been avoiding it for so long.
Good point, yeah.
Go by that on my way home.
That's, actually, when you go by and look at what was done on Locust Street, you get I was kind of like, how can this take so long and how can this cost so much? And then you go by and look at what was actually done, and then, of course, same thing over going towards Elm. Then you realize, okay, that was a much bigger project than I thought we were talking about.
The Locust was there's a lot of concrete in that,
yeah.
Holding up the road now, but the road will stay there for you a long, long time now. So, yeah, it was quite the retaining wall we had to build to hold the road up on that. So.
It's the neighborhood tornado shelter.
Yeah, we didn't change the box at all, but yeah, you can now get to it a heck of a lot easier if you need to. So.
How about the airport?
The grant agreement, I believe it's been, no, we haven't signed the grant agreement yet. I don't think you've received either of them, have you, from the state? Because there'll be two of them.
No.
No, okay. So out of this last round of KDOT aviation funds, you got the two grants. You got the grant for the aviation fueling project. As soon as that grant gets signed, as soon as it gets sent to you, you sign it, send it back to the state, they sign it, and they'll get you a copy back, then we're gonna put that thing out to bid. There's not much to it, it's just a couple sheets of paper to put that one out for bid. And then the only work that'll be required on your side is, I gotta talk to Steve and wherever the airport board decides they wanna locate that new fuel station, which right now we're looking at around the apron somewhere. We'll have to run some new underground electrical to that location, so that's the only thing that'll be on that part, that'll be city side. It's a lot easier for you guys to do it, it's gonna be cheaper for you to do it yourselves than to try to include it in the package for a contractor to have to sub it out to have it done. So, and then the other portion that we did receive is, I can't remember the exact dollar amount, it's 90-some thousand. I don't remember the exact dollar, but in that realm, for more crack repair. They did give us that, so we're in the process of, we left the other contract open just enough that we can tack it on to the first contract that we did. We just might have to pay a small mobilization fee since they aren't here anymore, but we're working on that, and before that moves forward at all, we'll bring that document back to you guys for approval. So, but there's a chance that we could get that done yet this fall, if it can fit into their schedule, so it kind of depends on their schedule.
So will that, this seems logical, but we're just, the cracks that weren't large enough for us to prioritize in that first time around, now we're gonna try to start doing some of those, or
A
something
little bit.
else?
We were able to get most of the ones out on the runway. That we'll go back and reevaluate, see if there's any on the runway we want to go ahead and do this time. But if there's anything left out on the runway, they're 1 inch or smaller. So they're not as a big of a problem. Right now, the main focus of this project would be the taxiway and the apron, and the other little taxiways around the hangars. I believe when I went back and looked, we had close to $75,000 worth of cracks on the apron and taxiways that we were looking at, which would leave us roughly maybe 15 or 20,000. So we can go back out the runway and see if there are any more that we need to look at to get on the next smaller size. The apron is, there's a lot on the apron to do. So.
Well, I recognize that the guys that have planes in it are out there and fly in and out and all that. I don't know how they feel, but it does seem to me that we've done a lot of good things out there in the last year, and have a little bit more to do.
Getting the fueling system fixed will be a big help for everyone, so.
Questions for Darren?
Do you think you'll be able to put the fueling system in still this year? I know I forgot his name.
It all depends. I'll give you an example. One of the contractors, or suppliers, that we had contacted to put together estimates to turn in for the grant, shot me an email here about 4 or 5 weeks ago, before we knew we'd got the grant, it was right before that, and said, hey, you're still looking for one. We actually had a tank that was gonna go to somebody else that they ended up backing out on. So they actually had a tank sitting there that was a skid tank. The only difference is we'd had to change out the nozzles because it was going to like a rental car place. So we'd had to change out the nozzles on the pump handles to aviation style instead of car style.
Yeah.
But otherwise, that one was ready to ship that week. So if we get lucky and there's something like that sitting there, then maybe you can have it in 4 to 6 weeks on site. If we have to go for one that's all new and we have to put it into the production line, they're saying right now 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
So it just kind of depends. If we get lucky.
Yeah.
The only thing we can't do with this grant money, KDOT does not allow us to go, say, buy a used one. So we don't have that option.
Okay.
We can go buy one that somebody else was gonna use and just never filled it with any fuel.
Brand new, but yeah.
But not a used one. We can't go buy somebody else's used system with KDOT.
Casey's may have a tank of it.
Is there any issues with containment out there around the tank?
So what we do with the that's a good question. What we do, especially in light of everything else that's going on, when we do an above ground tank like this, number one, we use a double wall tank, which as soon as you go to a double wall tank, eliminates that need for that whole secondary containment. But then actually when we put them on these skids, that we build, or not we, the suppliers build that skid that holds all that equipment is kind of like another liner. So not only do you have a double wall tank, but now you have a skid that can hold that in case you get any leaks in the fittings or anything else going to the pump. Now your whole skid is a whole secondary containment.
Okay.
So the only place you potentially have chance for leaks is when you're offloading, the truck that's offloading to the tank, if they develop a leak out in their pumps or hoses. Or on the flip side, if you have an aircraft that's filling up and they overflow their wing or a fitting breaks out on the hose.
Yep, okay.
Otherwise, everything else is inside the secondary containment. So,
Nice.
Thank you,
good
sir.
question though, especially if everything else is going on.
Thank you, Darren.
Thank you very much. I tried to stretch your meeting next year.
Anyone else? Okay, let's go then to department and counselor reports, and as always, we will start with Margot. Oh,
We have to get that, or I could
Don't
use
have
my
Zach
outdoor
here to-
voice.
I know.
Turn the mic on for her.
What'd you say?
Couldn't hear you. Couldn't hear you without the mic, Margot.
Yeah, right. Okay, here we go. I wanted to remind you that your next meeting, James will have his hearing for the dilapidated houses, for lack of a better word to use, I guess. So that's coming up at your next meeting. We've got a meeting Wednesday this week from 4:30 to 6:30 in the ballroom with KDOT, and that's about the expansion of 56. So I think that'll be interesting, and I hope a lot of people show up for that.
When is that? Wednesday.
Wednesday from 4:30 to 6:30.
I think it's kind of an open house meeting. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
like
it's
a
like
come
a
at
come and
4:30
go.
and stay till 6:30.
Like
It's a come and go and
They're gonna
information.
have a lot of stuff out to view, you know, so, yeah.
And it's this Wednesday.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then I was really, really happy today because I got word that Kiwanis is going to help with the Holly Jolly Christmas Parade, and that just makes my whole year because we've needed that help, and those guys know how to run a parade.
We'll help you little ladies.
Well, where you been for 7 years? But I'm really glad. So anyway, that's it.
I'm gonna follow up real quick on that Highway 56 thing, because Mark asked me before he had left to go as the city's rep to those early meetings. So I went to the initial meeting for that, which they held over in Galva. What that corridor study is it's from McPherson to our roundabout out here, and just looking at where along that corridor, KDOT's looking at potentially doing that whole entire corridor in 3, 4, or 5 phases to redo it. And along as they're redoing that up front here, they're trying to decide, okay, where is the best place to either improve rural intersections? Is there anything different inside the towns, which would be Galva, Canton, Hillsborough, and Marion? And then also looking at passing locations, you know, those type of things. And that's what, so we spent a whole afternoon with a whole bunch of people, EMS, engineers, business people from all those places, the counties and the cities, roundtable discussing all that, and what's coming out now in these open houses is what came out of those. So the designers from the KDOT side were there and listened to all of our information and inputs, and they've taken that back and put it into a next phase of looking on down the road how they're gonna do that. So that's what the open house is all about, is just to show kind of a direction. It's not gonna be a set in stone plan by any means, but just kind of what the future might hold for the whole 56 corridor.
When are they looking at doing that? Or
It all depends on when
Just,
KDOT can get some money. It also depends on how many phases they try to do it in. You know, if they try to do it in 3, they have said it probably makes the most sense, unfortunately for us, to start at the McPherson side because the traffic counts are so much higher in the McPherson County side than in the Marion. And especially from K-15 west. So that means the phase over here will probably be the last, what is this, 3, 4, or 5 phases? But they're looking at potentially the first, any one of the phases could happen would probably be about 5 years down the road. Number 1, because of getting through all the design and planning, but number 2, funding. Trying to get that input into their own KDOT plan.
Darren, I did not, so this is about making it better, the traffic flow better in that area. The only reason, what I'm asking is, in talking about trying to get a convenience store out on 56 that would sell diesel, one of the things that people bring up is the difficulty of getting trucks off of the highway and into a place, things like that, which is, I mean, kind of, it's a problem. It's kind of unfair, although, you know, fair is when a pig wins a blue ribbon. So, but that if we could get a company willing to put a convenience store out there, but we can't get the traffic off the highway to it. Is that something that we could bring up at something like this?
You could, however, KDOT's current access management program says that in a location of any city, whether it's something the size of Marion or all the way up to Wichita, is they're trying to eliminate direct access onto highways. And that's for accident purposes. You know, if we better control the access and we don't have a driveway every 100 feet along a city, then there's less chance of accidents. So the chances of creating a new entrance anywhere in the city limits of Marion are slim to none.
So their perfect highway would be one no one could get on?
No, the perfect highway is one that has, say, an access at every quarter-mile point or half-mile point, like we have here in Marion, and then a frontage road that parallels the highway to have people travel parallel to the highway to get back on the highway.
What about not necessarily adding a new or different access point, but enlarging or somehow changing the angle or whatever?
Very, very much so. Enlarging or
Okay.
changing is part of this.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Get on that.
So one of the, for example, one of the things that is looked at, I made this recommendation for both Hillsborough, Marion, and you look at Canton, Canton's the same way. You look at Galva, Galva's a much better situation because you're going through town, there's actually 4 lanes there. You look at the rest of us in this corridor, and Canton kind of has it. They have that turning lane goes into the school, but they come in the other direction, it's real short. Well, when they built the highway up here, you know, when you're coming in from the west, and there's a real short turn to get in right by KDOT's office, but then there's a big long one to get into Dollar General, and then there's a short one again to get onto Eisenhower. Realistically, what I made the recommendation of in all of our towns is we need to have that 4 lanes through all of our cities to provide that better on and off situation, which would also mean including making the radiuses bigger, you know, to accommodate the larger vehicles. So that's,
Yeah.
yes, I totally agreed. I don't think the safest thing is to put more entrances, but how do we improve the ones that are there to get the traffic on and off in a better, more efficient manner?
Yeah,
So,
okay. You've done your job, goodbye. Thank you, Darren.
thank you, Mayor.
Jason Wheeler,
Yeah, it's
Mr. Water.
very warm out, as we're all aware, so production is increased significantly, but exciting news today, we were able to install our new rapid mixer, and that has been a tremendous help and something we were really looking forward to getting done. And just a quick heads up, August 4th, we will start a free chlorine burnout to take advantage of the increased production and usage, so we'll get some of that out and about.
What's that mean?
So it's used as a maintenance tool to kind of help clean up your pipes in town and also get a better residual throughout the town. And we'll, I think I told you guys last time or maybe 2 meetings ago about our hydrant flushers that we've installed. We'll really kind of take advantage of those and move those around quite a bit during that burnout and increase the time that they go on and off, and we'll do some manually throughout town as that is going on as well.
Jason, we have some areas in town that are like dead ends. They're not looped, as if I understand terminology right. And I've been told those are the ones that then you tend to get red, orange water, brown water at the end, and the way to deal with that is to flush hydrants up the stream. That's not anything you do though, right? That's Tim's crew?
That's kind of a gray area. I have told Janet and Tim since returning that it's something I would like my crew to be more hands-on with. So they've kind of, excuse me, turned that back over to our department. So it's something that can be done relatively quickly and easily. And it doesn't necessarily take a whole lot of time as well. So if people are having issues, I've told Janet and Becky both, just shoot me an email and we'll go out and we'll do it. So it's kind of one of those things that can go back and forth between departments.
How long do you think the duration of the burnout will be approximately? How long does it take?
It'll probably go to August 1st. Usually try to do it between 20 and 30 days. Just kind of depends on when I start to see the free chlorine residual actually show up out in the distribution system.
When's it gonna start? Because I thought you said it starts August 4th.
Yes. What did I?
You
Yeah.
said August 1st in.
Oh,
August
sorry.
1st in.
September.
Okay.
1.
I was like,
It's gonna go over.
wow.
He was being a magician.
Yeah. No, we'll start August 4th and then September 1.
And it's just gonna not all be like the whole town all at once. It's gonna kind of be areas, or will it be pretty much the whole town at once?
It'll start at the plant all in one day, but it will take time for that free chlorine to get distributed throughout the system.
Yeah. I assume we have a way that we can put out notice on our website about
Yeah.
that's coming.
And Brian and I have talked about it, and Janet, and I've notified KDHE and they run it through their channel, so we're good to go. It's something we try to do annually, and in some cases biannually. It just kind of depends on what we're seeing when we're pulling our daily residual samples.
So will people notice more of like the smell of chlorine, or is it gonna be?
Yes, more than likely you will. It shouldn't be for very long, but there will be a brief period where
Gotcha.
there will be a heightened smell of chlorine, yes. And that's actually good, then that means it's doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Right.
Cleaning things up for us.
Back to the flushing water, the fire hydrants to improve the water on those dead-end lines. There are some areas that I think are always problems, and that we could probably put on some sort of a schedule so that we just know, hey, I don't know whether it's every 6 months, every 2 months, every year, whatever, but I wondered if you'd be willing to, where I could identify a couple of them for you, Mark.
Yes, Mayor.
Would you just change your name? It would make my life so much easier. Brian,
I'll get a shirt.
yeah, that would be really helpful. Thank you. But I'm just to me, it seems logical, because I know some people are just kind of constantly, it gets to a certain point, they call and complain, we go flush it. And when it's that sort of thing, if we could be proactive instead of reactive, it would be good.
Right, and that's kind of where visiting with Janet and Becky have kind of got that turned back over to our department, so that we can more or less make a schedule of like what you're saying. And with the 6 automatic flushers that we have now, and I've talked to Brian about this, in the future we'd like to purchase a few more of those. I'd like to get 1 or 2 a summer, to where we can get up to 10 or 12, maybe even 15 of them that we can place throughout town. And then in the summertime, they're going off every night, and they'll really help move the water around in those places that it can sometimes become a problem.
And with those automatic flushers, you don't lose near as much.
Right.
As when you have to go do it manually.
Approximately how much are those? Ballpark.
Just over $3,000.
Each? Gotcha.
If you see them around town, I think yours is red, right?
Is it
Right. kind of
Yeah,
like a
that
box?
red box that
Oh,
you mount
gotcha.
right on a fire hydrant.
And it's just got like,
It's like a solenoid valve?
yes, and it looks very similar to like an irrigation or your sprinkler system style controller inside of it.
Mhm.
We can go in there and tell it what days to go off and for how long and what time and all that good stuff. They're extremely handy.
Anything else for Jason? Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. We'll jump up to Janet.
I have nothing.
Brian?
I have something. The historical district meeting that was listed for tonight was tentative. We thought it was in Granite, but it is tentative. And so we have not heard back from the partner that's working on that at the state level for us. So I called Ben Moore and visited with him a little bit. He's gonna come see me next week and clue me in a little more on what the program entails. And he's waiting to hear too, as soon as they get that stuff processed through the state so that we can have our public meetings. So that's tentative for the future, a future date without a date on it yet. So I was gonna plug the KDOT meeting, but Margot did that. Thank you, Margot. I'm gonna attend the airport committee meeting this Thursday in the evening out there. They asked me to come. We're gonna talk about electrical and fuel and whatever else they have going on out there. So the Marion Senior Center has presented a letter to us requesting assistance in our 2026 budget up to the amount of $10,000 for utilities and insurance premiums is where they can spend that. I looked today and found out that we have a electrical discount that we offer them that needs to will be reviewed again, and I'll kind of go through and see what they're saving based on the ordinance from 2019, and see what that savings is, and maybe include that as part of the 10 that are already getting a discount. So, so I'll get you copies of that sent to you, and you can read it. The Marion Historical Museum called me Friday and asked me to come over. They're working on the Everhard Foundation grants as well. Non-competitive with splash pads, non-competitive, I think, because there's several available of those. And so they want to do some work in their basement. I saw the basement. They've had water in it. They've been working to get that diverted around the outside of the building. They're having some success, but they need to probably put in a sump pump, a false floor, walls around their HVAC system, probably add some kind of humidity control device in there as well. And then they would like to, and I said, well, we're at it, let's just go over the whole enchilada. Let's get the stairwell fixed so they don't have to go outside to go back inside downstairs. It'd be helpful, snow and ice, it'd be nice to just be able to go up and down, because there's a significant gap from the floor to the bottom of that stairwell if you haven't been down there. And then the ramp to the back door was a little iffy in my opinion, so I said, yeah, throw that on there too. It also includes some other things besides just construction. Where they need our help is they have to be a nonprofit or a government entity, since it's city museum will help them prepare that material. I started on an RFP that we're going to use to help them get the word out on the construction side so they can get some estimates and figure that out so they know exactly what they need to ask for the grant. In addition to that construction type things, they want to work on correctly storing artifacts and creation of a digital footprint for each piece in the collection. Those are long answers that I can provide you in a different form with all that means. It's kind of technical, so I'm not a museum expert, but I'll send you the letter that they sent me that we're going to use to do the RFP, et cetera. So we're working on that. I think the end of the deadline for those was the end of September? End of August, okay. So yeah, we're trying to ramp that up and get that out quick to maybe get some responses from construction companies. We're also, based on the fuel issue we've had from time to time, especially diesel, I'm working with an organization that might be able to help us enhance our fuel facility that's currently on Public Works property to where we could expand that and maybe fuel all of our city vehicles there, PD, et cetera. And then we wouldn't be beholden to any retail operation to do that. This organization happened to approach me. I guess they talked to somebody, one of my predecessors, sometime in the past, so we were catching up on that kind of thing. And I think it would be beneficial to us. Buying in bulk will save us money, We already have some tanks that we own, so we're free to go with who we want to use in that situation. We would probably have to get a different tank on the unleaded because it's only a 300-gallon tank right now. Probably have to increase that. But they've got a system where we can use a key code and stuff to get into it so that we have security. So we're looking at those options and how to do that. And when I get more details or we have some kind of firm proposal, I'll bring that to you too. We'll discuss it. Let's see. Also, Janet and Becky and I sat in with an alternative company for financial software. I think it's safe to say we were impressed with some of the options that are available through that would make Janet's job a lot easier. She thought you could probably go down to how many days a week if you?
Half a day.
Half a day, yeah, versus what we're doing to accomplish that right now. It would also bring us into the current times a little bit with, if we choose to go with the option for employees to do their time cards via electronic format, the cloud, versus turning in timesheets and having to regurgitate the material manually. We could still do that for those who don't have the technology desire, and we can, we can work on that as we go with employees, but there's some good options there. We could also, with this company, do our whole permitting licensing things on there, and there's a place that people could fill those applications out online and send them in if they'd like to. So there's options. The price is a little higher than we're paying right now, but there's different options. So when I get a full breakdown of that, I'll bring that to you as well. But I was pretty impressed. The organization's a small time, I won't say small time, a family operation, I believe out of Nebraska, if I remember right. And they've replaced 70 locations throughout their company with small governments or any government entities that we're using our current vendor from, and about a dozen or so just in Kansas. So they seem to be an industry leader in what they're talking about. We'll, of course, get some feedback and that kind of thing, and I'll be bringing that to you as well as a proposal. So today, a gentleman from IdeaTech just popped in. Apparently, they were helping getting our fiber installed here in town, and he brought us a little recognition of the completion of that project. When there was time for photos, everybody ran. I don't know what happened for their newsletter. So we have this. We'll display it upstairs. But with that comes an opportunity to have a free hotspot location somewhere in the city. And so we've discussed maybe the need to have that at Central Park. We need some reliable things there, so maybe we could have cameras, internet-based cameras or whatnot to help for security and those kinds of things. And so they believe they can do that for us without too much trouble. So they'll have their individual that sets up the free stuff, contact us, and we'll make some arrangements. If you have thoughts outside of Central Park that you're interested in, let me know. And we'll bring that, once we identify how that's all going to happen, I'll bring it back to you.
I was also wondering about looking into their options for, the rest of our internet. Like I saw in there, in the warrants, so we had some stuff at the PD and City Hall, and see if they do a proposal or something, what they offer.
Okay. Yeah, Lloyd has mentioned that to me, that there's different parts of our building that it's easier to be in right now, than there's places we could upgrade to have that, and we'd be a lot faster.
At least we could just look as an option. Like I said, it might end up being some cost savings or something as well.
Potentially, yeah.
Doesn't hurt to look.
If we can find a way to save money, we'll explore it.
Sure.
I've talked to Lloyd about being able to have
Your mic's
this.
not on.
Oh, it's on, it's just not
It's
on.
on you.
Well, did you want to hear me cough? About having it so that when we bring these in, we would actually just plug it into the system, or maybe it'd be wireless, I don't know. But that we would be able, if James is in here giving a presentation and showing dilapidated properties, and it's showing on these for everybody else to see, we could see them right in front of us here. And same thing with somebody doing a presentation, PowerPoints, anything like that. But all of that, I think he needs to continue to work on the fiber optic stuff as well, so yeah.
Absolutely.
And also Zoom, if we wanted to talk with somebody via Zoom, we'd be able to all see all whatever.
Yeah, we did that off of, well, when they first met with us to get feedback at the software company, we did a Zoom, not down here in my office, so, which is helpful, because that's kind of the way things are, so. It keeps people from traveling, it keeps costs down, which translates to a better deal for us.
But you never know if they have legs.
These people did, because they came to see us. All right. Other questions? I mean, we're working, everybody got their budget done, and the leadership team for their departments, they turn those into us. We'll be data mining all of that and getting it ready for Scott and John to take a look at and go from there. So we're progressing.
What's the timeline on that, do you know?
We're supposed to do our budget presentation on the first Monday, 2nd of September. We haven't delivered it to them yet. I think we were finishing up on some quarterly stuff. And then hopefully we can get that data input pretty quick here after that.
Questions for Brian? Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Let's start with you, Mr. Collett.
I don't have anything.
Nothing?
Nope.
Amy?
I don't have anything.
Timothy?
Just a kind of a shout out about supporting our youth here in the next couple of weeks. There's a few events coming up, the county fair, so you can go over to Hillsborough to the county fair and see some of the work that the youth are doing and support them there. And then also they're having the youth play this year. The date I believe is August 2nd, that weekend. So if you have a chance and see this, you can get out and support the youth that's doing stuff here in our community. So that's all I have.
Kevin?
Brian and I did meet with Dave Richmond from Marion Manufacturing on the old merry-go-round that went down at during Chinga, if any of you've seen it down there. When we got to looking at that thing, the dates on it were 1926, so it's almost 100 years old. So there was a couple of the rails that were missing and some brackets that were bent, and I don't think it had been the safest for a while, so they're supposed to be getting us some figures put together on
Did
what it
you
would
check
take
if it still has a warranty? Because
100-year warranty. We're just under the bar. We're still good.
So that's what Brian and I were talking about. We'll either get it fixed and have a 100-year birthday, or have the 100-year funeral, I guess, if we decide not to repair it. I don't really think that it'll be that significant to really get it fixed. I mean, for the most part, it doesn't seem that bad. And we had Landon and Jeff down there from the city. We'll have to set a new, basically what happened, the pole just rusted off where it was in the concrete, and it just slipped over. But
I guess that's good. I worry about that old-timey equipment over there and getting kids hurt and liability we might have. Kids today are not as tough as we were, Kevin.
I've talked to
Or
a
their
few-
parents care more.
Right.
Maybe that's it.
And that's what I talked to a few people, depending on where we're at cost-wise, about doing, some private donations. I mean, I guess I would like to see it put back up if it's at all feasible. I mean, like I said, being here my entire life, I mean, I played on that, and a lot of other kids have as well. But
We could move it to your backyard.
we could, yep, we could. But anyway,
No, I'm glad you did.
It
That's
doesn't
good.
cost anything to look at it and see what
Absolutely.
the options are. And
Totally
if
agree.
it makes sense, we can go forward with it. Like I said, we can do it through some private donations, I think, or we can decide to scrap it and do away with it.
Yeah, thank you. That's good that you did that. Staying in the park, I just think the park looks really good. I think it's looked good all summer so far. The Chingawassa Committee specifically reached out to say that how much they appreciated the shape it was in when they started their weekend. And sometimes that's not the case. And sometimes that's nobody's fault because you had like a lot of wet weather, it couldn't mow. But I think the park looks really good. And that, Brian and I talked a little bit today on something that's kind of the heart of Marion. When I came to town, the first time I drove through Marion or came to Marion, first thing I noticed was that park, and I think a lot of people are that way. So shout out to Ron for his work down in the park. That's all I've got. Unless anyone else has anything, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion, no discussion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
Tell you what, we have the ability to take a meeting